Because we were at Lock-In right over here last month, and we did a set with Phil and Friends, and so she was asking. We were friends. So she was asking about it, how it was from our perspective, and it was insane. Kind of, yeah. You know, it's one of those things. Yeah, with that music, you know, like I was saying before, it means so much, and it's so influential in so many ways. And you know, such a huge part of the sound of the Grateful Dead comes from Phil Lesh. I mean, even when we play with him and he just sits in with us, as soon as you hear that bass, it's like, wow, there's the sound of the Grateful Dead. I mean, you know, and it's incredible how much how heavy that is, you know. And I will also say this, you know, Phil Lesh, he may be old, but he ain't stopping. I mean, he is playing his ass off. It's incredible. Like, he's really doing it. You know, he's not just phoning it in and just kind of, he's doing this because he's still, you know, relevant and playing, you know, innovative stuff, you know. And so to get up there and be able to do those tunes, I think, you know, and it was weird because his plane, there was something wrong with his plane, and he was flying in that day. So we had a rehearsal, but he wasn't there because he was, you know, he had a tough travel day, as we often do sometimes. And so imagine, you know, he comes rolling in super. I mean, we were, you know, that stage. If you guys don't know, that Lock-In has like this. I'd never seen anything like this before, actually. I've seen a lot of stages at this point. Never seen anything like this where they have like the whole stage rotates, and they have like a wall in the middle, and while one band's playing, they sort of set up the other band, and then like it rotates around when it's time. So they kind of were like, oh, Phil, you know, everything was kind of running late because Phil had, you know, he didn't have any control over it. It was just one of those things. And they're like, yeah, take the stage, Phil's here, and we're all good to go. And so we kind of all gather on this stage, and we're not facing the audience. And then Phil shows up, comes running in. I mean, after a long travel day, comes running in, runs straight up on stage. They hand him his bass. He kind of checks a few knobs, and he says hello to everybody. And then the stage starts turning. So as it's turning, it like reveals like, you know, 20,000 people or something like that. 30, okay. And I'm just kind of like, I'm watching Phil, you know, I'm like, this is like the most inspiring thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he just came right from stage, he's like, all right, ready, smiling, psyched. We're all kind of like, no problem, you know. So the first song we did was Scarlet Begonias, and I have to start it on the guitar. And I'm just kind of like frozen. He's kind of looking at me, and I'm like, oh, right. So I just start playing it, and here comes, you know, for the first time all day, we had rehearsed the songs without the bass completely, and you know, here he comes, you know, and boom, there's the bass in your ears, and then it was like magical. And to me, you know, my favorite, probably one of my, I had many favorites, but maybe perhaps my favorite thing to see when I used to go see Jerry and the Grateful Dead and stuff was Terrapin Station. And so I had suggested maybe we do Terrapin, thinking maybe not, but that ended up on the set list, which I was psyched about. But you know, I'll tell you, it was a funny thing because Phil was, he has a guy, Ross, who's like really cool and kind of was relaying messages. He said, yeah, you know, before Phil got there, he said, Phil would like to do Terrapin Station string band style. So I was like, okay, and all right, no problem, great. And I, you know, kind of go into our little trailer there, and I'm sitting there, and Jasmine was laughing at me because I'm going, Terrapin Station string band style. Wow, what does that mean? and you know, this is going on for like a half hour at least. I'm just kind of sitting there with my acoustic guitar going. I think like, what is this, what am I gonna, I don't even know what that means. So at the rehearsal, so I'm thinking, well, it's okay. When we get to the rehearsal, he'll explain. But of course, he wasn't at the rehearsal because of the plane thing. So we just played Terrapin Station as it is in the rehearsal. You know, Russo was kind of leading because he'd played with Phil so many times, and so he was like, let's just run through it. We all know the changes, and then we'll figure it out. So we get up there, and now it's the last thing we're playing, and here it comes. And so I'm still kind of like, and I think I hear Phil kind of saying something like, kind of like you know, turn to Pandolfi. I'm like, so do you know what that means? I'm not really sure. I look over to Paige, you know, and Paige is going. I'm like, he wants a Terrapin, I think, string band style. He's like, okay. Do you know what that means? He's like, I don't know. And now, again, I got to start this song, right? So I'm thinking, okay. And Phil's kind of looking over, like, okay, you gonna start the song or what? And so and I'm like, wait, this is crazy. This is crazy. So I just walk over to Phil. I'm like, what do you mean by string band style? Do you want all the licks and stuff? And I just figured I'd ask the man himself, right? Why, you know, try to guess. But you know, it was so awesome because he was like, you know, I want it to be more flowing, and I want it to be less like rigid, and that's kind of what he meant. He wanted it to be sort of this group kind of thing is what he meant. And so we did I thought like it was really cool. It was a little different, but the Lady with the Fan section was just like more airy, and you know, John was playing brushes, and I think Russo was just kind of playing light sticks, and it was like this whole other sort of, and that's what he meant. And what was really cool about it is that by the time it get ramped up to the jam, by then the drums were like on full sticks, and it was the full, you know, that whole jam section was like, seemed like really big, at least from our perspective, seemed really big to me. And it was I think because Phil, like I said, he's not just like phoning it in, playing the catalog. He wants to reinvent stuff. He wants to, you know, it's not like anything I've ever experienced before, and it's like really as free as you would imagine, freer than you'd imagine. It's incredible how cool that is and how inspiring it is. And so, yes, that's why we all love the Dead. So.
So how did you start that song?
How did I? Well, it was just like, you know, kind of, it was pretty much the same, you know. It was sort of just, it was more, I think he was talking more about sort of in the drums. He just wanted the strings to sort of lead it, and rather than it being drum driven. And I think that was what he meant. And once I understood it, it made perfect sense. And it's, you know, the man is a genius, I think, you know, and it's really cool. But I don't know, you know, if I would play, you know, the Lady with the Fan, but there's like 400 verses, and I definitely, you know. I don't know about this. 5 minutes? See, the song is definitely longer than 5 minutes. And now it's 4 minutes, according to Katrina. 3, according to Andy. If I stand here long enough. Let's see, how about,